let's get started. And first things first, take a look at the network that we're working with. Now, I've got a Ubuntu machine here that's connected to a LAN created via pfSense. Now, in that exact same LAN, I also have my Windows domain controller. And over here, we can see that it is a 192.168.2.2. Let's take a look at the IP address. It's a 2.31. Whenever I put a new machine onto a new network, I actually like to ping out to see if I can reach out and touch other machines on the network. It's just a really good way to test to see if you can reach anything else. And specifically, we're connecting this Linux machine to a Windows Active Directory, so we better double check that we can actually reach out and touch it. And yes, we do. We have 64 bytes back. That means that this Ubuntu machine can reach out and actually connect in some fashion right now to the Windows machine that we have previously made in a different video. Some things that you need to change inside of your network settings inside your Ubuntu is that we actually need to point this machine here to the Windows server. How we do that is in Ubuntu specifically, we would hit the Windows button and then fly on over to the advanced networking. Opens up our window here. We're going to double click the wired connection and go on over to IPv4. Now at this point we're okay with the automatic DHCP, but what we're going to do here is we're actually going to add the IP address of the DNS server that is hosting our domain. So if I remember correctly, that's 192.168.2.2, and that is all the information that we need to add in here. So hit save. We're good. If you really want, you could reset the network manager. I often will do that whenever I do some fairly big-ish changes. So one way you can do that is sudo service network manager restart. I don't actually need the sudo because I'm currently as the root user, but we're going to put it in there. And we saw the icon at the top right, reset, and it was very quick. Let's check our IP address again. Still the same one, but we did restart that network manager. So we know that the configuration that I just set inside that GUI, it's there. We're ready to rock. What we're ready to do now is actually install some required packages. So there's actually quite a few packages to install. So at any point, if you want to pause the video, feel free to go ahead and do that. So here we go. I'm going to type it out for you. And then when you're ready, press enter. And make sure you don't have any typos. That should fix it. Beautiful. Great. We have successfully installed all of the required packages for this Ubuntu machine to connect to our Windows Active Directory. I'm going to clear the screen here, and the next step here is that I'm actually going to change the host name on my Ubuntu machine itself. Now in a previous video, remember we set up this domain as redbluelabs.ca. So my new host name needs to reflect the domain that I'm trying to connect to. And we're going to use a command that goes like this. Here's the name that I want to have, and then this is the domain that I'm going to be connecting to. Hit enter. No errors, so that means something worked. And we continue on with our next configuration. The next command is actually quite interesting in that we're actually going to disable a feature that's inside Ubuntu by default. And we're going to be disabling the systemd resolve service, but it acts as a local DNS resolver. And so we actually want to be doing that resolving not internally, but rather through our domain server. So let's go ahead and disable this service. No errors, it worked. We've disabled the systemd resolve service. At this point, we need to actually tell this machine, this Ubuntu machine, that where are we going to resolve. So we're not only pointing with our network settings to the Active Directory, or rather the domain controller, we are going to be configuring the resolve.conf file. This is a very important file, so I would get some practice using it. But here we go. We're going to open it up with nano etc resolve.conf and head on down to where we need to actually change some information. So now, obviously, we're not going to be resolving to this name server, which is not the correct one. We're going to be pointing to the IP address of our domain controller that we have set up previously. And we're going to change one other aspect of this file, and that's going to be this part here. We're not going to be searching for home.arpa. We're going to be searching for the domain that we want to connect to. And in this particular case, it is redbluelabs.ca. Perfect. I'm going to save that. Yes, I like it. And boom, it's been updated. The final step here is that we're actually going to use one of those packages that we just previously installed and actually join this computer to that domain. Now, an important thing that you need to make note of is that we're going to be actually using a user account, and this user account needs to be a domain admin. Okay, you're gonna have some permission issues if you don't use the appropriate account to connect with. Now, I'm going to be using the administrator account, which in my particular HomeLab situation is actually a domain admin. Okay, perfect. Let's use the package that we installed called Realm, and we're going to actually look to see if we can discover the redbluelabs.ca domain. Realm, discover redbluelabs.ca. Wonderful. We can see that we've got Redblue Labs set up. Now, let's go ahead and join to that domain. But before I do that, I would like to show you a part of our domain controller here, where if I've got my Active Directory here, I'm going to right-click on the server and head on down to Users and Computers. When I go over to, I already got open here, but in Computers, we don't see my Ubuntu machine here. I've got a bunch of users, but we don't see the machine that we're just about to add. Okay, let's hold on to that. Jump back over to our Ubuntu machine here, and now let's go ahead and finish this process of joining the domain. Realm join user administrator, and then we're going to choose the domain redbluelabs.ca, and it's going to ask for my password. So now I'm going to be using my domain admin password for this particular user. Let's pop that in there. Now give it a moment because it's attempting to authenticate you as a domain admin. Beautiful. Okay, we didn't have any issues. It didn't say permission denied. So let's go over and look at our server and see if it has anything changed. And go back into the server itself, go and check out users and computers. And beautiful, look at that. We've got our Linux machine now is actually a member of the domain, and we can see on our domain controller here that machine that we just added it exists, it's there. Hey, if you're enjoying these videos, please go ahead and like, that'd be great. But I've also got 2 videos on the screen right now for you that I think that you're going to enjoy specifically.